Okay.
All right. So, hey everybody, welcome to the pgdc Human Reactions podcast. This is the first of several that we're going to do. We're doing it for the fun of it and for the information of it. We're going to have a good time. We're going to just react to some current events. We're going to look at the world through our perspective with an HR slant. That's all we intend to do. And well, hopefully you'll learn a thing or two and be entertained along the way. So quickly, who we are. We're just a couple of HR pros with together over 30 years of experience, addressing, confronting, tackling, reacting to workplace issues all over the world. So I am DC, and this is my co-host, PG. PG, tell the people hello.
Hello.
That's all you got?
That stands for Prince Gonda,
Yeah.
not Wakanda.
Oh boy. And that's why we call him PG, because, well, his name is, well, frankly,
It's a good
terrible.
name.
No, it's an awful name.
Strong name.
So, well, we'll just call you PG.
Okay.
Just like you call me DC. Why do you call me DC anyway?
I don't know.
Is it because I'm from DC, or is it because my initials are DC?
You're so close to being inappropriate. Just
Yeah, okay. Well,
keep going.
all right. Anyway, so here's our format. All we're going to do really is we're just going to address some current events. We're just going to talk about some things that are happening from our perspective, okay? And then we're going to take one or two of your questions, respond to it again from our perspective, and then we'll just summarize, close out, and let you go. Hopefully, this will only last as long as it takes you to commute to work, or home from work, or home from soccer, or whatever. So with that in mind, hey, PG, sock it to me. What we got in terms of current events? What are we dealing with?
All right. So I was listening to the news, and there's this thing where Sam Smith, the singer, Sam Smith,
Stay with me guy. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, blue-eyed soul from England, no less.
I don't know if he's blue-eyed.
Well, you get the point.
Well, okay. So he made a comment. No, he didn't make a comment. He was out with his friends, and they were on a boat, and then they were listening to some Michael Jackson music, and then he was overheard real lightly in the corner somewhere saying, "Oh, Michael Jackson, I'm not a fan."
Well, okay. Everybody can't be a fan. It's kind of ironic, if not hypocritical, for anyone who makes their money singing pop music today to decry Michael Jackson for at least two reasons. Reason number one, the man is dead. Let the man rest in peace. Reason number two, the impact that he has had the world over on pop music, soul music, black music, white music, rock and roll, R&B, whatever you want to call his music, however you want to categorize or classify his music, the king of pop, so-called. I mean, you can't touch him. The breadth of his work, you just can't touch it. So why would anybody who is well-meaning say anything that decries his body of work, especially somebody who's biting his style? Stay with me.
Well, do you think that it's okay for him to not like Michael Jackson, but let me rephrase. Do you think it's possible for him to not like Michael Jackson's music, but respect Michael Jackson?
It's possible, sure. It's difficult because it seems that it would work better the other way around, right? So you can respect his work. You can respect his kingmanship as the king of pop. You can, respect what he's accomplished, what he's done, where he's come from, et cetera, his craft. I mean, he's a musician. He's a singer. He is a showman. He's a performer, a dancer, all that kind of stuff. Sam Smith, frankly, well, he doesn't hold a candle to all of that. His body of work, he won't live long enough for his body of work to be a fraction worthy of discussion comparable to Michael Jackson. So, I mean, can you dislike a person or just not be a fan? Sure. You might not be a fan of his vitiligo, for example. I mean, a lot of people aren't fans of his vitiligo or his Jerry curl.
Who?
Or his wig. That's right.
What are you saying?
His vitiligo.
Vitiligo.
Yeah. Are you unfamiliar with
That sounds like
vitiligo?
a vegetarian.
But you're good in the
sandwich.
sciences. You should be good in the sciences.
What is vitiligo? Why? Is
Are
it
you-
Asian?
Yes, because you're, well, yeah. I mean,
Well,
in my experience, I mean,
I don't know what a.
in
What
my
is it,
experience,
vitiligo?
Vitiligo.
It sounds like the biggest drink you can get at Starbucks.
No, that's a veterinarian. Okay, so you can get a Venetian, you can get a veterinarian, and you can get
And Ariana Grande.
Well, Ariana Grande. Didn't she sing at Aretha Franklin's funeral? And Jesse and Bill were,
Oh yes, she did.
back there checking it out. Is that me, or is that a real thing? Did that actually happen? I'm pretty sure that happened. Jesse and Bill, they can't really
Wait,
even
what's
see
going on here?
well anymore. I'm pretty sure. How old is Bill Clinton?
He's got to be late 70s.
How old is Jesse? Jesse's up there too.
He's like 110.
Yeah. So why was Ariana Grande singing anyway? Like I wouldn't know who she was if not for my nieces and nephews. But I mean, should she be singing at the Queen of Souls?
Look at this.
funeral?
Pastor at Aretha Franklin funeral apologizes to Ariana Grande for how he touched her. Look at this picture.
Yeah, who is that dude?
What's happening there?
Bishop Charles
Is it the-
Ellis
is it the hand?
stood with. Yeah, he pretty much groped. So yeah, there's video.
What's
of
he
that.
touching there? I mean, it's,
It was just very. It was a little too warm. He was just
probably for a pastor. That's
well,
not
yeah.
cool. If I'm taking a picture with Ariana Grande,
well, on a
Like,
natural. Well, if you're taking a
this
picture
would be a
of
little
Ariana
bit further,
Grande,
like right here,
hell would have
maybe a
frozen
little
over
higher.
because you would never be taking a picture with Ariana
I would.
Grande. Well, you wouldn't because she
I would.
First of all, you wouldn't. Okay, poor Bishop Charles out. Poor thing. Poor guy. Oh boy.
You know this? You know this bishop?
I don't know him, but
Well, you talk like you did just now.
well, that's kind of how we talk in the Black community. We
Okay.
talk like we know people, like because we're only Black people in America are only 12.6% of the population, so we kind of
I can't verify those numbers.
Well, I can. The Bureau of Labor Statistics says it. The Census Bureau says it. Come on, man. You got to go.
Wait,
with
let's
me.
get back to this. So why? I don't understand. Well, first of all, why was she singing at Aretha
Well, I'm not
Franklin's?
sure why, but the service.
I hope
last
other
year-
singers were there.
other singers were there.
I hope she was like
Fantasia
the fourth
was
or
there.
fifth. Oh, Fantasia was there.
Fantasia tore it up, and the other one who won the Academy Award for Dreamgirls.
Ooh.
You remember her,
Oh, Jennifer Hudson.
Jennifer Hudson. Ooh, yes.
Oh, okay. So there were others there. So she went.
Yeah.
So Ariana Grande wasn't like.
But she was a big fan of Aretha's, I think. But
That's fine.
I'm a big fan. Nobody invited me to sing.
Okay, Shaka Khan was there. I don't know who Audrey DuBois Harris is.
Well, you're not going to know. Because,
I don't
again,
know.
you're not a part of that 12.6%.
I don't know the Clark sisters. You don't know the
You
Clark
don't know-
sisters.
Of course I know the Clark sisters. Okay, first of all, everybody in the Black community knows who the Clark sisters are.
Well, name one
the
song.
Mothers. You brought the sunshine into my life throughout a lifeline. Since that I am upright, that my life. Jesus is the answer. Ah,
What are we
yeah.
talking about? Okay,
We
back
were
to
talking
Sam
about-
Smith.
Yeah. The fat European.
He's not fat. He's lost a lot of weight.
Well, you make enough money biting Black people style, sell enough records, you can get
Look how skinny he is now.
What do you call it? Oh, ew. All right. So you guys can't see us. What we're doing right now is we're looking at Google Images.
I'm recording this.
And we're looking at pictures of this guy. Is that the guy?
This is Sam Smith.
Yeah, so he probably really thinks he's hot stuff.
I don't.
Yeah, anybody
Okay.
who has more than 10 headshots, they think they're hot stuff. How many headshots do you have?
On Google,
No, how many headshots do you have?
I
Period.
definitely have more than 10.
You've had more than why?
Why not? Why limit me to less than 10?
Yeah, so all right, let's move on. Here we go.
Okay.
So yeah. So what else?
All right. Donald Trump.
Did we finish talking about Sam Smith?
No, we didn't.
So from an HR perspective, what's wrong with his statement? Is it a statement of insensitivity? Is it exclusionary?
So, like, if you're at work and you say something like, what would be the equivalent at work? Let's say, like a project. There's a project at work. Maybe the project is painting the kitchen yellow or the break room yellow. You come in and you're like, I like the break room. Oh no,
This is a terrible
this is
analogy.
terrible. It's not working out.
This is
I'd like
the
to
worst.
reset.
Yeah, you're gonna okay. Pause, back up, start over again. This is the worst
It's terrible.
ever. Yeah. So at work, so he didn't broad stroke anything. He didn't say,
I broad stroked your mom.
okay. I mean, okay. So we finished Sam Smith, didn't we?
Think
What
about
did
it.
he
Like,
do?
from
What did he do? What did he do at work? So he really didn't do it at work, right?
It's kind of
So-
like saying It's kind of like when you're at work and you trash one of your workplace values. So for us, if in America we say that Michael Jackson's the king of pop and he laid down a lot of the foundation for pop music, and especially from the more modern music that we have today, it's like he said that this one of our company values, the thing that makes us this company, this organization, he doesn't like it.
Okay.
So there's like a betrayal feeling, or
Okay.
or a sense of treasonous. It's like a
Could it
treasonous-
also mean that he lacks not just an appreciation for, but an understanding of the fundamental constructs that cause the employer, the workplace, the business to be what it is, thereby diminishing or altering the organization's brand? Could he be destructive to the brand of the organization because he doesn't understand what holds it up in the first place? Is that the real danger of that kind of a comment?
I think that's possible, but one thing to also consider is, do company values, do they have to be permanent? Do they have to remain the same forever? Can they change? And so if someone looks at one of the values that you have at your company, let's say, we want to be a company that provides really good customer service. Well, that's probably a bad one. God,
Well,
some bad examples today.
I think because the premise may be a little bit, I don't know, unsafe, unsure. And the reason I say that is because the values, that's not really what Sam Smith did. Sam Smith said, hey, I have a preference that doesn't look like everybody else's preference. And by itself, taken alone, that's not, nothing wrong with that. He gets to have a different preference, right? Where I think the sin and shame is that Michael Jackson and his body of work and his influence on society and music is so strong and so much a foundation of everything that follows him, that for anyone to make that kind of a comment suggests to me that they lack an understanding of the very music that they now perform. It's okay not to be a fan of anybody, but it's impossible to know your craft well and diminish the contribution of someone else, even by not being a fan. In other words, it's almost impossible not to be, to some degree, a Michael Jackson fan. Everybody's a fan one way or another.
Okay, now I got my example. All right.
Here we go.
So we work at GE, General Electric.
So is it math related?
It's not math related.
Okay, then it's not going to work either.
So here's Sam Smith. Some guy. Let's call him Joe Smith. He works at General Electric. Big guy in the culture. He's gonna be, he's gonna be somebody, right? Up and coming guy. He works at General Electric. He's on a fast track. And one day he's overheard in the lunchroom saying, I'm not a big fan of Jack Welch.
Oh boy.
And so Jack Welch is GE, right? He's, you don't.
He's too much of a contributor to disregard.
Exactly. In the same way that Michael Jackson to music is just such the gravity that he has to modern music is such that you can't talk about modern music without Michael Jackson within the next, few words of starting a sentence about, modern music. So same thing with Jack Welch. So
that's a good example.
So Sam Smith or Joe Smith at GE, he's in the lunchroom. He's like, I'm not a big fan of Jack Welch. Jack Welch is gone. He's not the CEO anymore. What's the reaction there? Like, is that okay?
Right.
Is that is he saying he's disrespecting the GE culture, which pretty much Jack Welch, invented?
Sure.
Or is he? Or is that is that okay? Is that a good behavior? Because you want him to sort of
think for himself.
Question. Is the GE culture still relevant? Is it should we change some things about it? Should we are all Jack Welch's ideas good, or are there some that we can question and maybe change?
It's okay not to be a Jack Welch fan. It's okay not to be a Michael Jackson fan. It's not okay to reduce their contribution to a petty opinion of what you like and don't like. Who cares what you like and don't like? You're no Jack Welch. You're no Michael Jackson, Joe Smith. So you really don't, as far as I'm concerned, you don't even get an opinion. I'm no Sam Smith fan. Never bought a record, never will. Do people even buy records anymore?
I don't.
What's
a record?
I don't know. MP3, something. Okay. Move on. Next subject. I'm tired of talking about this guy.
All right. Well, where did we settle on that? Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I don't think we always have to settle. I think sometimes, we can leave some stuff up in the air.
Can Sam Smith not like Michael Jackson?
And I cannot like Sam Smith. I cannot like Sam Smith because he doesn't like Michael Jackson. I can call him names too.
What are you going to call him?
I don't know. A furry brow dope. How about that?
Okay. I don't know if he's a furry brow.
It doesn't matter. Move on.
I guess. Okay. All right. Let's move on. Donald Trump. HR problems that he has.
Boy.
So Don McGahn, his White House counsel, pretty much, the relationship that HR has with the general counsel is pretty much they move step by step. They move in step with each other, right? So here is his general counsel of the White House leaving. Why does he have so many people leaving all the time?
Okay, so I'm going to jump right in because we're running out of time. I'm going to say this. This president's administration in my lifetime, and I have a pretty long one, thank God, is the most polarizing.
Mom knows about it.
Yeah, okay. Is the most polarizing presidential administration. I remember Nixon. Seriously, I do. And
no, you don't.
Yeah,
how old were you?
I was a kid, but I remember. And that's what made me start to pay attention at all. And then I remember that, it was a big deal. It was secrets everywhere and all that kind of stuff. And this is before social media and all that kind of stuff, obviously. But I don't remember anybody not being disappointed by this guy. The levels of disappointment were varied, but I don't remember anybody not thinking, oh my gosh, what has happened? What have we done here? What's going on? No, everybody was disappointed. I remember Jimmy Carter, and I remember a lot of disappointment there. But and different opinions about that guy. There's some people who think that, we needed a guy just like that at that point in history. And there are others who think, oh gosh, the worst president ever in the history of the United States. But he didn't have the levels of division that this dude seems to be able to create. This dude, from an HR perspective, leadership accepts blame. Sometimes you don't have to be at fault, but good leadership, solid leadership, because it's leader. So you can have a bad leader who is a profound leader. Okay. Hitler was a strong, profound, influential human, which made him what we call a leader. Mm-hmm. But is that who you want to be your model for leadership? So good leadership. I guess
minus the evil.
Good leadership, well, minus the evil, right? So good leadership accepts blame, and it also teaches subordinates how they should behave. Well, a lot of people are leaving because they're unwilling to learn the lessons they're being taught. In response to your question. Further, diversity and inclusion. It's one thing to be diverse. It's another thing to actually include people in your discussions, in your contemplations, to include people and their perspectives and their feelings sometimes in your decision making, in your policy making, etc. To exclude groups of people constantly, persistently, and intentionally, it only serves to diminish your ability to further your agenda. It's self-defeating not to include, right? And so another reason that people are leaving is, man, look, they're not screening people right. They're bringing the wrong people in. If I bring in a whole bunch of people into my business that are just mediocre, or they're just friends, or they've just been referrals from, my college fraternity or whatever, I'm probably bringing in some people who aren't equipped to do this thing. And that's what I see going wrong from a human resources perspective, specifically.
Well, they have a diversity problem as far as the talent that they're bringing in. It's not diverse enough.
Okay, I just said that. Anyway, move on. What's the next topic?
Did I just mansplain? I just mansplained.
Well, I hope that was valuable to somebody. I'm sure some listener is glad you said that, because I just used way more words than I needed to.
Yeah. I didn't understand you.
So well, your mom understands me really well.
Okay, speaking of moms, In-N-Out. The hamburger cheeseburger chain that's out in the West Coast.
Yeah.
Do you know about that?
No.
Did I take you to In-N-Out when we were in San Francisco?
No, but your mom tried to take me In-N-Out.
Interesting. So In-N-Out was in the news a few days or a few months ago, and I still want to talk about it because this is very interesting to me.
So it's basically old news.
It's okay, yes, okay. But
you're gonna have to do a better
January
job on this background. You're gonna have to do a little better.
Yeah, but hey, still need to talk about it because In-N-Out pays their managers $160,000 a year. So what are we doing wrong? Why are we HR people? We could be flipping burgers.
Wow,
for $160,000
so
per year.
What kind of business model is that? I mean, talk to me.
So here's what they're thinking. They're thinking that they're very customer service oriented, right? Okay. And they're one of those companies that believe that if you make the employees happy, then the employees will make the customers happy.
How old is this organization? Do you know?
No.
Okay, they're going out of business soon. There's no way you can pay your managers $160,000.
And their minimum wage is 13.
Well, in some
it's
places,
11 for California. So
California's minimum wage is moving up every year, as I understand it. So in some places, $13 an hour is not a big deal. In DC, minimum wage is like what, like 11?
$7.50? What?
Oh yeah, DC.
No, $7.50.
Yeah. No, oh boy. Okay,
isn't it?
No, federal minimum wage is $7.25 an hour right now. In DC specifically, minimum wage is double digits. It's way over $10 an hour.
I don't know about
Google it real quick.
All right, here it is. Beginning July 2018.
There you go. $12.50 an hour.
$13.25.
And it's increasing to $13.25. See what I'm saying?
Okay.
Yeah. And it's similar to that out in California. So on two sides of the country. You got, double-digit minimum wage, which is a good thing, but nowhere
You think
close
that's
to
a good thing?
106. Yeah, it's a good thing, sure. I mean, things go up. You got to match people's income, and you got to fill in the gaps. And the market pretty much, this, the market pretty much does what it has to do. So if people need minimum wage to be,
Well,
$12
minimum
an
wage is
hour,
not the market. Remember?
well, okay. Well, without boring our listeners on a lesson in economics, let's just say that minimum wage is the government's influence on the market.
Mhm.
Is that fair?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Which every economist who's reasonable will say sometimes the government has to step in.
Sometimes the government has seven.
Sometimes.
And even if they don't literally, philosophically,
Mm-hmm.
they should. So this has nothing to do with the government, in my opinion. This has all to do with philosophy, which I think nothing will prove but the test of time. Nothing will prove whether they're right or wrong, but time.
I think they've been around for a long time, and I think they've been pretty successful.
Are they growing? Are they?
Oh yeah.
Publicly traded, or is this a family business?
I'm gonna look at their about section.
I'm gonna need you to step up your research game.
I don't have a research game.
Well, get one.
I'm gonna get your mom.
Oh boy.
Okay, so they got this old picture. It tells me they're old. Look at this car. It's from when you were born. This guy's got. Oh look, he wears sweater vests. Like you.
Wow.
View my timeline.
No.
Why is this button so big?
Because
Look at
1948.
1940.
Here's what we're going to do now. We're going to get your opinion on whether 160,000 a year for a manager is reasonable. I'd like to know what they're demanding of these managers.
I think it's a standard fast food restaurant. I don't know what they do differently. I can't tell. It looks like.
Why don't we all apply to work?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I can't wait for In-N-Out to get to the East Coast.
I have fast food experience. I can.
You do?
Yeah.
No, you don't.
Sure.
Who'd you work for?
McDonald's. I worked for McDonald's when I was in college.
Last year.
No, but I might have to go back and work again. All right. So
what do you think of this? You don't think it's sustainable, huh?
I think only time will tell. I think it may be a new model, and it may change the way the work world works. But I think it takes some guts. But it also educates me about how much money these companies are making. If you can afford to pay these managers $160,000 a year, then the ones who are making $20,000 a year.
Well, how much do McDonald's managers making?
Well, it depends on what level of manager. So an assistant manager is making peanuts.
Well, okay.
Store manager, well, they're making at least a living.
Oh, is this for real?
But a regional manager, yeah, that's about right. But
general manager is making 41.
Depending on, where in the country they work, geography, and all that kind of stuff.
Oh my
How much experience they have with that employer. Yeah, I know. But it's also very competitive.
Let's see what Glassdoor says. That's crazy.
What's crazy?
I thought they were making more than that.
They don't make much at all. McDonald's is like on the bottom of the list.
This can't be right.
It's close to, but it's about right.
Oh my God.
Yeah, you make like 3 times what a general manager at McDonald's makes, don't you?
Well, me as a In-N-Out fast food manager?
No, you as a podcaster.
I don't make any money.
Nothing. We're doing this for free. On a Saturday. I got things to do. Let's move on.
I got your mom to do.
No, you are so inappropriate.
Okay.
Next subject.
All right. Now, next segment is our Q&A segment. And we got a question here from a Jessica Park. Sounds Asian. Oh, actually, in her thing, she says, I'm 29 years old, Asian, well-educated from UCLA, which is the I think that stands for University of, I don't know, but the A in there is supposed to be A for Asian. Anyway, she says, I'm not perceived as a leader at work. What can I do to help myself out? What do you think about that?
Okay, I heard the question. Wait a minute. Wait, I think I missed the first part. She gave us some personal information, right?
She's Asian,
She's Asian,
29,
29,
well educated from UCLA.
educated.
What does UCLA stand for? It has a funny name. It has a funny.
University of California, Los Angeles.
Yeah, no, I know, but there's a thing for Asians. It's
No,
called.
that's.
I have to text somebody.
It's not.
I have to text an Asian.
Again, inappropriate. Okay, so what's her problem? She sounds pretty good to me.
Oh,
I mean, she's Asian.
You
she's
see lots of Asians.
Well, that's true.
That's
she's
what UCLA stands for.
she's Asian and she's 29 and
Yeah.
she's educated
Yeah.
and she what?
So she's I think this is a pretty common Asian, or maybe really a people of color problem at work, which is that they're not perceived as a leader. So, for instance, in Silicon
She
Valley,
says she's not perceived as a leader.
well, she believes she's not being perceived as a leader. So, in
Okay.
Silicon Valley, for instance, and I'm not saying she works, doesn't say where she works, but if in Silicon Valley, something like 60 to maybe 70% of the workforce is some kind of Asian, South Asian, East Asian, whatever. But only like less than 10% are executives. Less than 10% of the executives are Asian.
Mm-hmm.
So, how can you have a situation where 60 to 70% of, the workforce is a person of color and, it's under 10%
Well, so
represented in executive ranks?
good question. Makes me wonder though, how do they have, well, okay, so if I start my own startup, whatever my demographics are, whatever my, race, color, background, national origin, whatever, right? I don't mind including people I think are going to help propel my startup in Silicon Valley into wherever it needs to be. So imagine now if I am Asian, whatever, East, South.
You're not Asian.
But just, okay, suppose I were. And I may just hire as executives a bunch of white men. Why? Because I think they can help propel my startup into where I want it to be. They may be able to help me carry my company because of her very issue. There may be
Because they're white or because they're talented?
Because they're white men.
Because they're talented or because they're white men?
How many times do I have to say that? Because they're white men
Mm-hmm.
who happen to have enough talent to get my company to. It's because I may believe, as an Asian, that if they look and sound a certain way, that they can help get the line of credit that I need from people
Don't
who
black
look
people
and
think
sound
the same way?
Well, I can't speak for all black people, but many black people feel exactly that way. Many black people on one end of the spectrum believe that I'm going to hire white executives. I'm going to own this place, but I'm going to hire white executives who happen to be talented enough to get us wherever, I vision this organization going. And the reason that they want to do that is because they believe that, well, I don't want to fight unnecessary battles. I have to take this ship to its destination. So I can't fight the whole line of credit battle with my banking institution. Let my chief financial officer do that, who happens to be what they prefer to deal with, they being the banking institution. Let my chief operating officer get all the vendors and contracts with all the other organizations that are going to be suppliers for my organization, because I don't want to fight those unnecessary battles. As the chief executive, I'm moving this ship to where it needs to go. Let my other chiefs deal with all those other things, and they'll have less to deal with Well, because they look like the guys and sound like the guys. They can talk the same language as the guys that they're interacting with. And I do say guys intentionally because, unfortunately, women executives are underrepresented, grossly underrepresented, as are black executives, as are Asian executives. And I think that her problem, not, her perception, I think is everybody's problem. I think that organizations perceive certain people um, as not having great leadership, but sometimes it's not so much that they perceive them as not having great leadership. It's, you may have great leadership, but I don't want you to have to endure unnecessary battles. I'm too busy trying to get this ship rolling. And so it's a difficult conundrum.
You can't spell conundrum.
I can spell conundrum. Your mom can't spell it all.
Okay, great. Well, that brings us to the end of our podcast.
You had nothing.
I had nothing to say
on the Q&A.
No, I don't. I'm Asian. I'm wondering the same thing here.
So you're just as
like, how do I fix the perception that I'm, that I should be a leader at work?
Well, how do you?
Well, look, you came up with a couple, or you covered a couple things, which is, do you imitate white people so that, in the hopes that they can see similar behaviors that they have or that other white people have, and they can perceive you as white, thus a good leader? Or maybe you just do your thing and be a good leader, and that's good enough. I don't know.
Well, it's a difficult conundrum, but as we move out of the Q&A, maybe this is good for this last segment of the podcast, where we basically just give our view of things, and we hopefully give some takeaways, and we let folks go away with something that's serious. We joke around a lot, we play a lot, but we like to give you just a little nugget or two that you can actually use. So I think that question and answer is a good one. I think the perception of leadership is less valuable than actual leadership. I think if leadership is influence, then I think modeling good leaders, not sounding white, and I'm doing air quotes here, not looking white, of course, not doing anything to take away from your leadership either, though, but being influential, making a positive impact, change, difference, etc. Those are the things that will cause people, and although there will always be people who don't want to pay attention, in general, people will pay attention to folks that are getting things done, folks that are moving their vessel from point A to point B and so on. When you're actually accomplishing something against the odds, because the odds, frankly, are just against you. If you're 29, you're young. You get, dismissed. If you're a woman, you're a woman and you don't belong to the club, you get dismissed. If you're Asian, well, you're probably not a strong leader, and so you get dismissed. So she has at least 3 strikes against her, just automatically. And we know this because we know that people have subconscious implicit biases. And so they take one look at her and they've decided already that she doesn't have what it takes. But I think if she, against the grain, pushes the envelope and continues to accomplish and continues to achieve and does things in her organization that meet and exceed objectives, and she influences people right where she is, because there's leadership at every level, and she influences people right there, I think that, like Steve Martin says in his autobiography, be so good that they can't ignore you. And I think you can be good as a technical performer and they can't ignore your technical performance, but you can also be really good at leading and they won't be able to ignore it. It might take a while. It might take you longer than it takes somebody else who graduated from UCLA. But you can do it. Hang in there. So that would be my takeaway. How about you? Any takeaways?
I already said no.
Oh, God. Okay. Well, with that, friends and family, loved ones, we appreciate your time. We will be back. We'll do this on a much more frequent basis. Hope you had a good time. We certainly did. We're going to up our research game. We're going to have more fun with this. We're going to come back at you. And until then, have a great day. You're awesome.
We will talk to you next time.